21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Sandegriff.
And we welcome you into Hanny Time. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Charles Sandegriff. I'm with Mario Jerez and Taylor Sharp. Hope that you had a fantastic weekend. We had some real good weather here in the capital city. Got out, did a few things. Got to hang out a little bit with Shaquille O'Neal yesterday. We'll have that interview coming up for you at 12:30. Shaq in town with a new fitness project and a new fitness facility that he is involved with, and also was at the LSU women's basketball game yesterday. I should really start there. So I'm a positive kind of guy, right? Because if I talk about the rest of the local basketball over the weekend, it's not all that positive. Ronnie Rantz with us in 15 minutes, by the way. Second segment will be LSU baseball, and the Tigers taking 2 out of 3 at Round Rock this weekend, so we're going to get to that. But the LSU women finished yesterday with a convincing win over Mississippi State. Angel Reese with another 20-plus. She was named SEC Player of the Week today. I don't spend a whole bunch of time, talking about those Player of the Week things. They're nice. We kind of mention them in passing. But it's the 7th time she's done that this season. That's the most in the history of the Southeastern Conference. It's a pretty good conference, y'all. Shamika Holtzclaw played in this conference. Candace Parker played in this conference. Simone Augustus and Sylvia Fowles played in this conference. I mean, this is heady stuff, right? Oh, I was Player of the Week for the 7th time. There's 14 weeks in this season, okay? She's Player of the Week half the time. I mean, roughly 14 weeks in the season. I mean, she's been Player of the Week half the time. Doesn't that make her Player of the Year? I know they're going to vote for Aaliyah Boston at South Carolina because they won the game, and Boston's a great player. She's Player of the Week half the time. Doesn't that make you Player of the Year? We'll see when those awards come out. They get the double bye in the SEC tournament, play the winner of Georgia and Auburn on Friday. It's just part of a larger story. We're going to do this on the podcast today about how quickly things can change in the current climate of college athletics, and specifically basketball, because we're in basketball season, so that's what we're going to talk about. 2 years ago, LSU was floundering around with a slightly below 500 record in conference over a 2-year period. They were okay. They were drawing next to nothing. They weren't exciting. They were fairly disciplined on the floor, but there was no blood going to it, man. There was no life going to it. It was just kind of there. They made a change. In 2 years, the year that they made the change, LSU was a top 12 program in the country. In the second year, they had the best record in the history of the school. 27-1, their one loss on the road against the number 1 team in the country, a team far deeper and more experienced than they are at that point in their program, as opposed to where Dawn Staley is with her program, as opposed to where Mulkey is with hers. She's almost caught her, okay? Now, they haven't caught South Carolina yet. We saw the game. They've caught everybody else in the league, and then some in year 2. So you can move things very, very quickly in the right direction. And also go in the other direction. For the last 4 years, LSU's men's basketball program has been in the tournament, or would have been in the tournament in 20. We're in 19. We're in 21. We're in 22. And now have moved themselves to where they are arguably the worst power conference team going right now. They went a long way towards assuring that they will finish last in the SEC on Saturday with a completely lackluster performance. If you want to argue about whether Georgetown or Minnesota or somebody else is worse than them, I'll hear Cal is terrible. Okay, I'll hear an argument, but they're in the conversation, okay? It's gone that quickly. And I want to be fair with Matt McMahon because I understand the circumstances under which he was brought in. I understand the non-resolution of the NCAA thing has stymied his recruiting. I understand that he had to put a roster together on the fly. But, man, Saturday you got your behind whipped by a coach that had been on the job for 36 hours. I mean, just completely hammered from the 6-minute mark of the first half when they were tied, and they went on one of their patented dry spells and got outscored by 9 in the last 6 minutes of the first half. In the second half, not all that much better. And Ole Miss ends up winning a game by double digits. Why does this bother me? This season is lost, okay? So it's not like this bothers me because, they lost ground in the conference standings, even though they went from a tie for 13th to 14th. Whatever. It doesn't bother me because this cost them some kind of postseason seeding. They ain't on any line right now. They ain't going to be on any line. They're the 14th seed in the Southeastern Conference Tournament, which one night at the hotel is all you need. They'll be coming home quick. It bothers me, and it bothered me that, you got beat by 40 a couple of times this year. All right. Ole Miss isn't any good. They're so bad that they fired their coach on Friday. Now, why would you fire your coach on Friday? You got 3 games left plus the conference tournament. You could wait a week and a half. My understanding is that they asked Kermit if he wanted to coach the last 3 games, and he said no. Whatever. They're not any good. They fired their coach. They have an interim coach who has been on the job a day and a half, and they boat raced you. I understand getting thumped by Alabama. I understand getting thumped by Tennessee. I would even understand getting beat by, a Texas A&M team that was bad in the pre-conference, but has been very, very good in the conference. And going to a team that, hey, man, look, I ain't dying to play them if I see them on the 7 line or so in the NCAA tournament, because I know that what Texas A&M is right now is nowhere near where they're going to be seeded. Their seed is going to be compromised by things that happened 3 months ago. They got better. LSU hasn't gotten any better. LSU has one player playing to their potential, KJ Williams. That's it. Kudos to that guy. I applaud him. Effort, execution, everything. It's not easy to stay engaged when the team is this bad. I brought up the 2-year window with the women's team and now the men's team, and I could do it with other programs at LSU too. 2 years ago, the baseball team was a good team. They were a super regional team. Now they're the preseason #1 team in the country, and they're out of the gate in pretty good shape. Football team 2 years ago had a 500 record. This year, first year for Brian Kelly, they won the SEC West. They beat Alabama on the last play of the game. They won their bowl game. They won 10 games. They're going to be in the top 10 in the country to start next season. Pretty steep curve you get graded on over there. I'm not saying he needed to make the NIT. I'm not saying he had to have a top 5 recruiting class. I'm saying that in the last week of the season, when you go to play a team that just fired their coach the day before, that you can do better than get run out of the gym by double digits. That's all I'm saying. Now, the Pelicans, which started this season with so much hope. If it's possible for a team to come out and play with less enthusiasm than LSU did in the last 6 minutes of the first half and through, at least portions of the second half, Pelicans fit the bill. They play a really competitive game against Toronto on the road to come out of the All-Star break. You lose, bummer, okay. You go to New York, you got the night off. Knicks are playing the night before, so you figure you're in decent shape. They come out of the game, first quarter, give up 42 points. It looked like All-Star game defense for a while there. At times it looked like the Knicks came across half court. The Knicks, okay, we're having a pretty good, by their standards, pretty good year. Knicks are coming across half court, going, whose turn? Who's shooting this time? Who's going to score? And the Pelicans, who got to New York the day before, we talked to Graf on Friday. They were doing shoot around in Toronto. They were going to New York. They had a day to get themselves process the Raptors loss and get into the game, a very winnable game with the Knicks. And they got boat raced, mostly because looked like they didn't really care all that much. Willie Green on the loss to the Knicks.
At the end of the day, exactly what I told the guys in the locker room, that starts with me. Having ownership as a coach, as a leader, that we have to be better, and I got to hold our guys more accountable. I got to hold myself more accountable. That standard in which we played with tonight is not us.
Pelicans moping and pouting.
They made shots early. It demoralized us. We hung our heads. We moped. We pouted, and they just ran the ball down the floor and made more shots.
Moping and pouting. Very bad for basketball teams. Get beat by 22. Benches emptied in the fourth quarter. Now, I want to be fair to Willie Green because I understand the situation that he is in. Top 3 players for the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks, owned by James Dolan, one of the worst owners in the history of professional sports, bar none. Okay? You put him and Daniel Snyder and ask me to pick one, I'm going to have to think about it for a while. Who's the best player on the Knicks?
Probably Julius Randle.
How many games he missed this year?
0.
0. Who's the second best player on the Knicks?
RJ Barrett.
Or Jalen. I was going to say Jalen Brunson, but RJ Barrett. Okay. Either one works for our example. How many has Brunson missed this year?
Brunson missed, 5?
5. How many games RJ Barrett missed?
7.
7, that's right, for a total of 12.
Jeez.
Brandon Ingram's missed 35. Zion Williamson's missed 32 and counting. I'm just saying. Now, that's to be fair to Willie Green about the overall thing. Last 2 games, you got to get your team to come out and play with more urgency than that. We went through all of the numbers on Friday about this is 23 games left. This is what you need to get this seed. This is what you need to get this seed. This is what will put you out of the playoffs. Sense of urgency coming out. Even Anthony Davis is playing hard these days. LeBron played through an injury last night, brought the Lakers back from 27 down. They're not even going to need the damn pick swap. They're going to finish behind the Lakers.
It's the opposite of last year. Last year, the Lakers kind of melted down and the Pelicans came on. You're seeing the polar opposite right now.
And what was Anthony Davis wearing at this time last year?
Street clothes.
Jeans, loafers. Wearing a uniform now makes a difference. I mean, again, I want to be fair with Willie Green. I think the guy is a good coach. I think Matt McMahon's a good coach. But I got to ask the question. You know, when you go on the road to play a team that's as bad as you in the standings and just fired their coach and you come out with that effort, I got to ask the question. When you come out of the All-Star break with your fate in your hands, okay? They didn't need to make up any games, at least when they started, to get into the playoffs. And now you are teetering. You're right there in a 10-hole. And the Mavericks got better. The Suns got better. The Lakers got better. The Grizzlies added a shooter. You didn't do much of anything as far as the trade deadline, and you come out with 2 incredible – I can't say they were flat against the Raptors the other night. They just got beat. Okay, that happens. Saturday was embarrassing. They should have been embarrassed of that effort. Okay. I'm done talking about basketball for the day. Well, I'm done talking about those basketball teams for the day. We're going to have our conversation with Shaq a little bit later on. But we'll talk LSU baseball when we come back. Ronnie Rantz is with us. Watched all the games from Round Rock. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hanny Time, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
sky. I've got that sunshine.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP on select new 2022 Ford F-150 trucks. $10,000 off plus 0% financing. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. The nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Start your day with news and news.
Hey, it's on. Join me Monday 1 to 3, recapping LSU baseball and Round Rock and Tigers Rebels from the Pavilion. Hunt Palmer Show 1 to 3 on weekdays. 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Remember, you can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Joining us right now, Ronnie Rantz, owner of the Baton Rouge Rougarou, director of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Ronnie, what do you do in your spare time?
Well, this time.
Well, the spare time is spent researching insurance policies on the latest Casey McKenzie.
That's about right.
Okay, I understand that.
By the way, we will have some big news hopefully in the next 48 hours, but it does sound like we got Casey McKenzie lining up to ride a bull at the PBR event down in New Orleans in 2 or 3 weeks. But we'll have plenty more on that over the next 48 hours.
I would ask, what does he know about riding a bull? But I would have asked you what he knew about boxing before. Yeah. So, hey, when you make that announcement, give me a call because I do want to see this. All right, Ronnie, 2 out of 3 over the weekend for LSU. A lot good over the weekend. Ran into a pitcher that gave him some trouble, despite a whole mess of walks on Saturday in Brody Brecht against Iowa. But just, I know you watched all the games. Your overall thoughts about LSU in this tournament?
You know, the old saying, great pitching can shut down an offense. I mean, that's kind of the story of what happened on Saturday. Now, Iowa, who had a good team last year, 17-7 in the Big Ten, and had a winning record, and They played obviously the best game of the year. They won't play any better than that against anybody. They had double-digit hits. And then Brecht, who really wasn't on, but just to give you an idea of how great his stuff was, just absolutely held LSU in check. And even with the bases loaded and no outs, the Tiger hitters were overmatched with that 98 to 100 mile fastball. But really the wipeout slider is what was so good. And look, I mean, if LSU runs into pitchers that throw 97 to 100 and have a wipeout slider and can get it anywhere near the zone, they're going to have trouble with them. The good news is that most people don't have that guy. But outside of that game, I thought LSU obviously offensively yesterday exploded. Skeens was a story on Friday. Cruz and Joe Bear were the story offensively. I mean, they looked the part. They weren't ever going to go 56-0, and they had their bobble, but they responded the way championship teams do. The question that I have is really I'm excited about Tuesday to see what Hurd and Little do on the bump, because I don't think that the starting rotation that we see now is necessarily going to be the starting rotation in 3 weeks.
I would agree with you. Before I get to some of the offensive moves that they're going to have to address, what did you think of the first two outings for Chase Shores? Because you look at him physically and you go, okay, this guy's a future Friday night guy. He's got every chance in the world to go in the first round of the draft the year that he's eligible. But he's a young guy that's only made a couple of starts, and he's got a long way to go. But the raw ability just jumps off the page at you.
Well, the size. I mean, if you were to draw up what you want a pitcher to look like, I mean, Shores is that physical freak. I was surprised that. Do we know why they took him out so early? Did they say?
He said he was going to let him go one time through the order. And that was it. And I think he faced 14 batters the first weekend. I may be off a couple on that, but right now he looks like a one-time through the order guy for them. And it does strike me that this is probably where Grant Taylor would be pitching, and that they would have sort of eased Shores in had that been the case. And since they couldn't, well, now he's got to start, but he's still not going to go, 2 times through the order, 2.5 times through the order at this point in his career.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that, because they had the big lead. They could have easily just left him out there and let him stretch him a little bit and let him get 3-4 innings. Instead, they pulled him after 2. And so, I mean, from that perspective, if you don't trust a guy to go through the lineup but one time, I mean, do we really still call him a starter? That's kind of it's kind of that backwards, staff Tuesday, Paul Maneri game where, a guy goes 2 innings and everybody else goes 1 or 2 the rest of the way. That was just odd to me, because if we're trying to make him a starter, you had the perfect chance to let him throw 75 pitches or something like that in a blowout game and see what he could do. So, and what I mean by that is now we still are with the unknown. Shores showed some good things, but he also still had some command issues at times. And, I would have liked to have seen him go longer and try to fix some of that and see if he got better as he went or whatever the case may be. It tells me that they're completely wide open to the scenarios of how they're going to pitch this thing. I mean, they're probably outside of schemes just waiting for a couple of guys to emerge, because if you don't trust your Sunday starter to go but 2 innings in his second start in a blowout, SEC play is 3 weeks away. I can't imagine him ramping up in 3 weeks to be a 5-6 inning guy. That would be a surprise to me.
No, tomorrow night is very important for Thatcher Hurd. I don't think there's any question about that. And if Christian Little has pitched in this league, I think that he'll be fine. He's going to be a big part. And I like what I've seen out of Ty Floyd. So there's guys. I think that'll all work itself out. I'm curious what you think about what I'm calling right now the offensive-defensive triangle in my head. Braden Jobert is off to a blistering start, and so is Jared Jones. And Trey Morgan, despite having to miss the middle game of this series, has been a mainstay in your lineup for 2 years now. Trey Morgan is a great first baseman. They tried him in the outfield. Jared Jones is really a DH. They moved him and played him at first. Jobert, probably in a best-case scenario, is your DH. We watched the ball get over his head on Saturday that cost him multiple runs. So there's an offensive-defensive balance here. To get all 3 of these bats in the lineup, Ronnie, you're going to have to compromise some defense, at least in the short term. So what's the answer there? How do you progress with that?
Well, I think that if you're going to have a year where you go, some years you're more defensive-minded than others, and you're more offensive-minded because you realize, hey, I got a great pitching staff. I might struggle a little bit offensively, and you play for the defense. Well, this is not that year. They're loaded offensively to the point where they're not even letting Paul Skeens hit, who's arguably could be a top 3-4 hitter on their team. So that said, I think you're going to give up some defense to get those bats in there. Clearly, they like Jones a lot, and they, even after going 0 for 4 punch-outs, still in the lineup and all that, so they believed in him. He rewarded him with a homer. So, Morgan is going to look a little clunky in left field as well while he's figuring it out. That's a new position for him. Joe Bear, when he's in there, is just average outfielder at best. You've got Dugas playing second base, who's doing an okay job, but you've got better defenders, but you're going with offense there. I'd like to see Tommy White get healthy enough to where they put him in the lineup at third base and getting the Polt out of the lineup. And then if you did that, you put Morgan back at first, put Joe Bear in left, and you can let Jones DH. And then, you could obviously play for defense later in the game, depending on the situation, depending on who's maybe having an 0 for night or something like that. With Jones or Joe Bear coming out of it, but that's what I would do. They thought White had a good better fall defensively than they expected, because he came in here, as an offensive player, but he was better defensively than they thought. LSU's had plenty of years, particularly during the Skip Bertman era, where third base was just okay, not great defensively, and I think they should just go back to that, get him in the lineup, and then that way I just like having Morgan over at first base because he eats up everything. You saw the difference. Jones playing first versus Morgan. It's noticeable.
Yeah, and we're saying all of this for a team that through 7 games does not have a starter that has made an error. Okay?
Right.
They've got 2 errors on the season. One of them was by the pitcher, and the other one was by Gavin Guidry as a late inning defensive replacement. But the ball that gets over Joe Bear's head is not ruled an error, but obviously that's a misplay, and we know that Morgan is a better first baseman than Jones is defensively. So the fielding numbers look a lot better. I'm actually encouraged by a lot of the defensive things that I've seen, Jumbo. Jordan Thompson in particular looks like a lot more comfortable baseball player than the last time I saw him at the end of last year.
I mean, if you remember his freshman year, the last part of the season, he was really good defensively. He had a nice little stretch there in April, early May. Really good. And then last year, of course, he started off bad, settled in the second half of the year and was much better. But then we did, a lot of people didn't know about his injury last year before the season. And clearly he's healthy. He had a good summer in the Cape. I really liked him. I always thought he was further ahead than Kramer Robertson was. And look how great Kramer turned out to be and got to the big leagues. And so, he was, I think, as a junior, he's further ahead than Kramer is and has a lot of those similar skill sets, and I think will have a nice professional career. So he's gotten off to an excellent start. This defense, of LSU is not going to set the world on fire, but as long as they just make the routine plays, they've got enough offense to where they can overcome anything.
Yeah, they've done a lot of that. Last thing before we let you go, the catching situation has stabilized a lot quicker than I thought. We kind of got the impression in preseason warm workouts that they would play 3, 4, even 5 catchers here early on. But it seems like Brady Neal has settled in as a starter. He has hit. I'm going to ask you about his defense because you pick up things as a former pitcher that I probably wouldn't. And then Alex Milazzo, who has always been a defensive ace, has come in to finish every game so far this season. So what are your thoughts on Neal, the freshman, who really ought to be, you and I talked yesterday, really ought to be preparing for senior prom right now, but is LSU's starting catcher?
I mean, look, it's impressive. I mean, that just shows you the amount of confidence and the ability this young man has, that here we are 7 games into the year, and he started every single one. He's hit 300, and even when he's had those bad games where he struck out a few times, and he, bounces right back, and he's never let the offense, even struggles at times, affect them and defensively. Look, Milazzo is by far the better defensive catcher at this phase in their career. I mean, when he gets in there, it's noticeable how much smoother his hands are and how good of a thrower he is. But Neal, I think, keeps getting better and better and more comfortable. He was much better this weekend than he was last weekend, I thought. And the throwing is probably the part that is going to come. He's going to get bigger, stronger, and throw better in year 2 than he is this year. He's a little short at times with his throws, a little inaccurate, but the bottom line is a lot of guys aren't getting on base. LSU's striking out so many guys. So he's special. They love him, and he's what you want. You want a right hand, you want a lefty bat in that catcher spot, and they think the world of him, and clearly.
Yeah, I'm a fan. What's coming up? Is it Rougarou this week? Is it Hall of Fame this week? What's what's up on your plate?
Well, we this week, Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, we're working on. I'm actually meeting with Archie Manning this afternoon at his house, getting some things for Eli Manning for the museum, because Eli's going into the 2023 class in July. So going down to New Orleans to meet with him. So working on some Hall of Fame events, and then of course I'll be actually on the call for LSU baseball, all 4 games this weekend. Lynn and I on the SEC Plus Network games. So doing a little homework there and talking with Butler and Central Connecticut and different, stuff like that.
All right, good. I'm scheduling you for next Monday right now. Put it on your calendar after you do the 4 games. Thanks, Ronnie. We appreciate it.
All right, buddy. Talk to you later. And
we'll take a break. Had a chance to visit with a real LSU legend yesterday. Shaquille O'Neal was in town. We'll have that for you when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Big Mike's in Denham Springs right now. Hot ball crawfish. Yes, we are at that time of year. Got some ball crawfish this weekend, man. Oh, how I've missed it. That smell of ball crawfish puts me in a good mood. Every day, 7 days a week at Big Mike's, starting at 11 a.m. If ball shrimp or more, what your taste buds are craving, it's all you can eat ball shrimp every Monday night, starting at 5 o'clock all the way until close. Happy hour, Monday through Friday, from 3 until 7 means $2.25 domestic draft bottles, $3 wells, $4 glasses of wine, and it's all day on Sunday. So if you're going out to watch basketball, to watch NASCAR, to watch really anything sports-wise, you're going to have your happy hour drink specials all day. Daily lunch specials as well. Don't forget about their off-site catering from Big Mike's. Part of the fabric of Denham Springs with the Hall of Fame right in the front of their restaurant. At Big Mike's on Aspen, we're kind of a big deal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
What a good day to finally be out of the office. Is that this? A Skag mower. Okay, living the good life, I see. Not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous. It's just like driving a throne. It's gorgeous. A beautiful piece of machinery right there.
The moment you know you want a Skag. Skag. Simply the best.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true for Black and Latino women. Be the one in your family to help change this statistic by taking the American Heart Association's challenge to learn CPR. Be the beat for someone you love. You can make a difference when it matters most. Go to heart.org today to take the CPR challenge and save lives.
Louisiana. It's a place defined by culture, by pride, by passion, by people who do more than love this place. They celebrate it, elevate it, champion it. They are the individuals who embody what makes Louisiana great. The companies that make Louisiana a better place to work and live. the nonprofits leading transformational change in our communities. Champions of Louisiana are all around us, and LWCC is proud to celebrate them because we've always been Louisiana loyal, supporting the workers, the innovators, the change agents of this great place we call home. Who are the champions around you? Together, we can share their stories. Together, we can help our home state thrive. Together, we are Louisiana loyal. Always.
Musso, join us for Monday's AFR presented by Relief Windows. Matt is back from vacation. He's recapping LSU's weekend in Round Rock. We'll preview Pell's Magic. Monday's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Yesterday afternoon, I had a chance to catch up with an old classmate of mine. Fall of 1989, Shaquille O'Neal and I both entered LSU, and here some 34 years later, almost 34 years later, between the two of us, we have won 4 NBA championships. We have won an MVP. We've been inducted into the Hall of Fame. We've made a lot of money. Okay, between the two of us. He's done most of the heavy lifting. Shaq involved with a new facility here in Baton Rouge, and we got a chance to visit with him yesterday.
Shaq, it's good to see you back in Baton Rouge. Man, no matter where your travels take you, all over the world, you always seem to manage to find your way back to Baton Rouge for a bunch of special projects.
You know what's crazy?
What's that?
If you watch Superman 2, remember when Superman 2 wanted to give up all his powers?
Yes.
And he had to go back home?
Uh-huh.
Baton Rouge is my home. Right in front of Broussard Hall. Remember the circle, that bench?
Yes.
I got to touch it once a year to rejuvenate and get good luck. That's a true story. Because this is where the Shack was created. This is where it all started for me. Love coming back for the football game. Love seeing old faces. Just love having a good time. So a friend of mine was starting this. It's called X Factor Sports Performance. It's a place where kids can come get their game up. It's just much needed. They got a lot of facilities like these, but they're on the high end, and a lot of kids don't get the opportunity. But my good friend Sean Connor making it very affordable, and all the kids get to come. And we're going to have some Shaq O'Neal scholarships, and we're going to do donations and all that stuff. So we're going to make sure that the kids in Baton Rouge want to work on baseball, basketball, football. You want to get your speed up. We got it all here. 3634 Drusilla Lane. What's the address?
In the Drusilla Shopping Center. 3464. You know, one of the things I know about you is no matter what project you get involved in, no matter what you endorse, you got to believe in that product. You talked about that many, many times. So what makes you want to be involved with this particular project?
You know, when I was young and coming in and everybody was saying, invest in this, invest in that, I would lose. And then I heard the great Jeff Bezos say, if you invest in things that's going to change people's lives. So ever since I heard that, I've been investing in things that's changing people's lives. This is definitely going to change a kid's life. I see the look on those kids' faces. The crazy thing about me is I haven't played in 15 years. I'm amazed that these kids know who I am. So, you know, the fact that Uncle Shaq comes in here and you got some, great LSU baseball players, football players coming here and teaching knowledge, this is going to change a kid's life. I guarantee you, we're going to produce somebody out of here that's going to be the next LSU great. Guaranteeing it.
You were talking about being at Broussard Hall. So what's the training facilities like now compared to when you were playing? I mean, the advances that you can make for those kids.
You know, for us it was all about heart and pride. Like, we had our weight room. What was the guy's name? Milt? Like, Milt used to push us to weight, but us in the 80s, like, we just believed in something bigger. Like, I never trained. Practice, and then I got to get to Tigerland. Practice, and I got to get to Cortana Mall. Practice, I got to walk through the quad. So for me, it was just about, one, being here, two, making the people in Baton Rouge happy, especially in the Pistol Pete Maravich Arena, and three, it was just about growing. Now, these kids have it all. Like I tell my kids all the time, if I had some of the stuff that y'all had now, I'd be a trillionaire. Like if I had this internet, social media thing, I'd be a master of marketing, which I already am. If I had the stuff that Google and all that stuff, I'd have been the valedictorian of LSU. And if I had all this training stuff where a guy can give me extra tips, it probably would have, helped me become even more of the Shaq. But, we just want the kids, especially here in Baton Rouge, to come take advantage of X Factor sports.
It's obviously for elite athletes, but one of the other things that you're doing here at X Factor is you guys are going to have special needs kids that be able to come in here, and I know that's a very special pet project for you.
You're my friend, and I want to correct you. This is for all athletes. Elite athletes, it's just the name that they give you when you get some press behind you. But as I know, there's been a lot of baseball players, football players, basketball players that are very talented, just never got the chance. So here we're going to give you the chance. We're going to have some old experts come by and teach you some tips. And again, I'm guaranteeing we're going to produce some talent out of this.
I have to ask you the question that everybody has always asked me, which is there anything in the world that Charles Barkley is better than you at?
No. Never at all.
Anything close?
This radio or TV?
Both, really.
All right, if you're in your car, I want you to roll your window down right now and go, Barkley sucks. Barkley sucks. Barkley sucks. Okay? Just do it. Anywhere in the world, just do it.
You spent a lot of time on the set with that guy. Hey, we're about a month away from the NBA playoffs. Pels fans hoping that they can get the team back on the floor in time for the playoffs. What do you think about after all of the moves here in the last few weeks? What's going on?
Zion is a force to be reckoned with. Just has to stay healthy. When he's coming full speed, ain't much people can do. Ingram is playing great. I still think personally you guys are 1 or 2 pieces away. It's up in the air who's going to win. Milwaukee looks good. Boston looks good. Philly. Golden. I don't know. That's why playoffs is very, very exciting because all it takes is one game for everything to shift. So I don't want to say this team's going to win. I really don't know this year.
Phoenix made a pretty big move, huh?
Yeah, but you still got to put it together because I remember we had Harvey, Kinchin, the quarterback.
Oh, Tommy Hudson, yeah.
Let me tell you, I was jealous of Tommy Hudson.
Everybody was.
But you know what? I was telling people this, that Tommy Hudson and Chris Jackson, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, taught me what it was to be a star. It's like we're all high school, whatever, but then when you come here and the treatment, bro, when Todd walked around, it was like, and like when he had that Sports Illustrated cover, all the girls in the crowd, I was like, I want it. So, how's he doing? You talk to him?
Yeah, he's doing fine. Not as good as you, but I mean, very few people are. I got to ask you about one game. My favorite LSU game of the Shaq era against Arizona, and that.
I was talking about this yesterday. So a lot of people don't know. Dick Vitale came down in the locker room because they were ranked number 2. We didn't have a lot of players, and he pulled me to his side and be like, "Listen, man, just do your best. I know you're not going to win. You're going up against 3 guys that are better than you." And I was pissed the whole game. So I looked at all the guys and I said, "Throw me the ball." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Throw me the ball and move and just get out my way." Because I don't like to be doubted. And playing here at LSU, if you doubt us down here, it's just the power of everybody just come. That game, I just went crazy. But the crowd, the fans. There's one thing about Baton Rouge. We could be down 4 touchdowns or down 20 points. The fans still believe you can get it done. So if they have that belief, we have that belief. So.
Sean Rooks believed after that game, and she broke out the dance moves for the first time on the court.
Coach Brown pulled me in. He said, "I don't usually like that, but I like that." I like that. Like I wanted to do something vulgar, but I didn't want to disrespect the people of Baton Rouge.
You know what happened at the end of Superman 2? When he came home, got his powers back.
That's right.
So good to see you, big man. We appreciate everything you do.
Shaquille O'Neal, always fun to catch up with him. that video, if you were watching, was in the back room of the new facility, because if you try to do an interview like that when he walks in, it's going to be noisy. You're going to have, so we went and found a place in the back where, we could have, it has some quiet and all that stuff. And it struck me, I was, watching, there were probably 100 people at this event yesterday, a lot of kids, and Shaq interacted with all of them. He took every picture. He signed some stuff. He played around with the kids. It wasn't just stand there and he's gonna stick his finger behind the little kid's ear to make him laugh and all that stuff. It occurred to me watching that. This is every day of his life. Look, I understand. He's got more money than some countries probably. I think he is arguably one of the 5 most famous people in the world. And because there's nobody else like him. When you say Shaq, it's not like Shaq Jones, Shaq Smith, Shaq Williams. No, he's the only one. Obviously, he's huge. So if you're a famous musician, actor, politician, whatever, and you are of normal size, let's say Michael Jackson, when he was at the height of his popularity, was probably the most famous person in the world at one point in his career. He could go out, put a hat on, put some glasses on, if he wanted to, kind of move around. You got to move fast because somebody will spot you. But Shaquille can't do that. Anywhere he goes, people gravitate toward him. And he could, if he wanted to be very surly, be very standoffish. I mean, if that guy makes a mean face at you, you're going to turn around and move in the other direction, okay? And he does the exact opposite every time I've been around him. And Ronnie Rantz made a good point. He was there yesterday. We were talking that when Peyton Manning was inducted in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, they spent the whole weekend in Natchitoches, and Peyton has a similar deal. He's not as big as Shaquille, but he's highly visible, and anywhere he goes, he attracts a crowd. And it's every autograph, every picture, every person that wants to shake your hand, and that's wonderful. And like I said, that's part of the price of fame. That's why you get to have the money and the fame and all of the perks that go along with that. There's a price to be paid for that. And like Ronnie said, if after you've taken 50 pictures or signed 50 autographs or talked to 50 people, the 51st, man, look, I got to go. I've got other things to do. The 51st person thinks that you're an a-hole. There's no escaping it. He does it as well as anybody I've ever seen. And I've seen Shaq off the court, not just in Baton Rouge. In Baton Rouge, he's revered and all that stuff. People give him at least enough space. I've seen him in Vegas. I've seen him in Los Angeles. And he's just got that way about him that makes him as physically imposing as he is. And, the deep voice, and like I said, all that, he could really run some people off and just say, get away from me. He never does that. He never does that. And you say, well, he's not supposed to do that. Every day. We all want that, those days where it's like, leave me alone, okay? I've never seen it from him. Good catching up with the big guy. We'll close it out when we come back here. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
Well, just completed another purchase from Infinity of Baton Rouge. We went in, and it was the same as my other buying experiences at Infinity. Narrowed my choices down to what I was looking for. Got a great selection there. Walked me through the process. Transparency in pricing. A very easy process to follow. And in a very short period of time, into a new vehicle. Done this multiple times with Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge for both me and other members of our family. And right now, Infinity of Baton Rouge wants to buy vehicles from customers off the street. It's easy to get an offer from Infinity of Baton Rouge. If you're looking to sell it to them, trade it in for another vehicle, or even if you're just looking to find out what the value of the vehicle is, they can do that for you and get a quote in less than 15 minutes. And there's no pressure to buy. Certified pre-owned program at Infinity of Baton Rouge means you're going to get a 167-point inspection, 6-year unlimited miles warranty, and 1 full year of prepaid maintenance. All part of the service at Acura and Infinity of Baton Rouge.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Musso. Join me Monday through Friday for your daily update on LSU baseball with Musso at the Box, presented by New Orleans Flooring, wherever you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Google, and check out New Orleans Flooring. 2 locations, Metairie and Prairieville, or NOLAFlooring.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walk.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
I had to leave my parents. I had to move schools. I don't know anyone here. Everything keeps changing. Why is this happening to me? I'm sure glad you're here.
Change a child's story. There's a child in foster care waiting for a volunteer like you.
Women who suffer from cardiac arrest outside of a hospital are less likely than men to receive life-saving CPR from bystanders. This is especially true.
Jimmy Ott and Charles Hanniger for the Monday edition of Game Time. We're live at Just Winging It, eating some boiled crawfish. Boiled crawfish season at Just Winging It. Mondays, Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hanniger on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, a few questions out of the Bayou Ford chat. Ask Hanny, did you ever see the picture of Shaq next to a life-size cutout of Robert Waldo, or Wadlow, excuse me, the tallest man who ever lived? He was 8'11". I've seen pictures of him in the Guinness Book. No, I've never seen that picture, but it does remind me of a picture that I thought was, one of the cooler pictures I saw. The LSU men and women used to share a practice facility, particularly when the volleyball team would be playing. They would have to go down into what they call a dungeon. It's underneath the PMAC, and there's a court down there. So when all three sports were going at the same time for practice, the men and women would schedule practice times kind of adjacent to each other, and there was always some time in between. And there's a famous picture. I haven't seen it in years. I don't remember who took it, of in between the practices, Shaquille O'Neal playing one-on-one with Pokey Chapman. And it's such a startling picture, because Pokey was probably 5'2", 5'3", maybe something like that. And of course, Shaquille is Shaquille. So I'd love to. I'm sure that LSU's got it somewhere, but somebody snapped that picture. They were just goofing off and playing one-on-one in between the practices. That was a pretty cool picture. Let's see. Anyway, Will Wade comes back to coach at LSU? No, that ship has sailed. I don't know that Wade is going to be viable in this hiring cycle if something doesn't come out. By the time the Final Four doesn't. I mean, the NCAA could break something here in 5 minutes, or it could be 5 more months. Who knows? So no, he's not coming back here under any circumstances. But is he going to be a college basketball coach again? They're waiting on that show cause possibility. I don't think that's going to clear by the time this hiring cycle is done. But we'll see. Should the Pelicans have taken Ja Morant over Zion Williamson? Well, yeah. I mean,
hindsight 2020.
And the Trailblazers should have taken Jordan instead of Sam Bowie. But I mean, there's not a team in the league that would have passed on Zion Williamson. Just sucks that he hasn't been able to stay on the court. Thanks to everybody for participating. For Taylor and Mario, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon.